So what that means, Topher, is one of your existing team right now is actively trying to fuck your company up.
That is terrifying, especially for small business owners, right? Because that's a major part of their team.
1 in 8.
Welcome to the Dan Bradbury Podcast, episode 216. I'm stoked for two reasons. Number one, we are still in Tampa, Florida at Personify Studios. We hadn't planned on this recording, but thankfully because of your airline screwing you with your life, you had to stay an extra day, and you're not flying out until 6 p.m. tonight, so we're going to jam out a few. Hopefully, yes.
Thank you, tropical storms.
Yeah. And the other reason I'm excited is because we're trying out this new format where we've gotten rid of the news and the hero and the fail and all that stuff, and we're really just committed in these podcasts now to letting the listeners walk away with at least one specific, powerful strategy that they can do to expand, scale, grow, or improve one of the 6 critical areas of business. So, Dan, I'm going to ask you, what is the critical component of business that we're going to be working with today?
This week, it's people and culture.
People and culture.
Right,
yes.
and I have got a good story for this week's podcast. So,
as inspiration?
No, more a warning story.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
there's a clip. We'll punch it in a moment, but of a CEO called Andy who she pulled a shocker. She massively managed to demotivate her employees when she was trying to actually motivate them. It was a rah-rah speech that had the exact opposite effect. So much so, it was national news.
My guess is this, by the way. It didn't just demotivate them, but in today's culture, it pissed them off, and they created some social campaign to try to cancel their boss. That's my guess.
I would be amazed if she's still there.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, just look what the news anchor says. It was it's pretty messy. And I brought it up, Topher, because I actually think you and I are going to disagree on this clip. From a
We
perspective.
often do. That's what makes this show good. I'm always right, and you're always wrong.
Right.
1 point for me.
Well, I tell you what. Let's play the clip and then let's talk about it.
Indeed.
Get our orders out our door, treat each other well, be kind, be respectful, focus on the future because it will be bright. It's not good to be in a situation we're in today, but we're not going to be here forever. It is going to get better. So lead by example, treat people well, talk to them, be kind, and get after it. Don't ask about what are we going to do if you don't get a bonus. Get the damn $26 million. Spend your time and your effort thinking about the $26 million we need and not thinking about what you're going to do if we don't get a bonus. All right? Can I get some commitment for that? I would appreciate that. I had an old boss who said to me one time, you can visit Pity City, but you can't live there. So people, leave Pity City. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Holy crap. I would not want to be her today.
I was going to say, holy crap, how?
Holy crap, bad. Holy crap. Yeah, I'd be, if I were his employee, I would have been, well, okay, here's where I'm a little bit split on this. First off, I think it was dumb. I think it was a stupid thing to say. And if I was an employee and never had been an entrepreneur, I'd have been pissed. Because we've said this before, right? Entrepreneurs cannot think like employees. Employees cannot think like entrepreneurs. There's just a disconnect there. So she wasn't looking at it from their perspective. I think you were the one that told me that if an employee can misinterpret something, they will.
Well, look, I mean, I'm sad on her behalf. I was going to say livid, but I'm not livid. Because, I mean, if you think about the context, I mean, we're only seeing a narrow clip, but the context was companies struggling and the employees are immediately going to, oh no, what about my bonuses?
Yeah.
And that's how they said it, literally with that voice tone.
I'm sure that's exactly how she heard it.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously her intent was to motivate the team and get them focused on getting the job done. I.e.,
Yes.
if we get the results, we'll get the outcome.
Yeah.
Like whinging and
Yeah,
moaning
stop
about it
being
isn't
so
gonna help.
pitiful. Way to go, lady.
But I do think we can agree that her approach probably isn't going to get the desired outcome, right?
No doubt about that. No doubt about it. And I think, by the way, when you look at that, right, if you look at whether it's getting them engaged or disengaged, there's an interesting stat that I found in a book, which was from the Gallup. The book is It Pays to Play, and the Gallup report here, I've got it on my Kindle. It says that 64% of the workforce. 64% of the workforce in the average company is disengaged. Only 46% 36%, I'm doing the math now in my head, only 36% of your staff is actively engaged. Now,
Right, so 2/3 disengaged,
Yes.
1/3 engaged.
Yes, but here's where it gets scary. Of the 64%, 51% is not engaged, and the other 39% are actively disengaged. And they define not engaged means that they're psychologically unattached to their jobs and on the lookout for something better. That's 51% of the workforce. That's crazy. And then actively disengaged means they're miserable at work like a virus, most likely spreading this unhappiness to coworkers and customers. That group makes up 13% of your workforce.
1 in 8. You know what that means? That means there is somebody on your team right now who is actively trying to fuck your company up.
You have, if I'm not mistaken, counting in my brain right now, 8 people on your team.
In the training business? Yep.
No, like true. Out of the one company, the training company you have, you've got 8 people on that company. So that means I'm not going to say us, but one of your teammates is actively disengaged, bringing down your crowd.
And here's where it gets interesting, right? No, because the people, you listening to this right now are probably thinking, well, my team's better than that.
Yeah, my team's amazing. Right. They all love each other.
Yeah, it's like, my team's all A players.
Right.
Oh, what's the running joke? That there's 2 things no man will admit he's below average at: the ability to drive and the ability to make love. It's the same thing. No entrepreneur.
No entrepreneur's willing to admit that they're below average.
Their team's like inferior.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's nothing. Go and hunt out the 1 in 8 and get them out of your company.
Yeah.
But actually, in a sense, I mean, that's Jack Welch, right? Firing the bottom.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
The bottom 10% or 20%. I don't remember what percentage it was. It's like every year they were trying to get rid of the.
Yeah. By the way,
what
a great specific strategy. Like anybody listening to this, if you've got a team of, you've got a team of 2 or more. It's probably you anyway. But like if you've got a team of about 10 or more people, right? Always be actively looking at, out of that 10, what's the bottom rung? Who's that bottom rung? And how long are you willing to tolerate them? And let me ask you this, Dan. How long do you think most small business owners keep poor performing employees too long before they finally either quit or fire them?
Yeah, indefinitely, right? They don't. In my experience, they don't actually fire
at
them.
all. Really?
No, right,
I was going to guess like 12 to 18 months.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say it's measured in years, probably. I mean, everybody knows people at the company, they're like, how the hell is this person still working for them, right? Yeah. It's unbelievable. But then there's an interesting twist on this, Topher, because you're going to go, okay, what do I do about it, right? I think, yes, seek them out, the old... be slow to hire and quick to fire, but it's quite hard in reality.
Especially when you only have 8 people on your team, right? Because it's such a big piece of the business.
Right, it's such a big chunk is gone. Yeah. But what's interesting to me is, when it comes to building an A-player team and A-player culture, right? Obviously, you can talk about strategies for hiring and hiring quickly and hiring effectively and hiring A-players, but actually, the most cost-efficient way to get A-players is to create them. Right,
train them up.
Yeah, it's to train them up. But train them doesn't just mean in terms of most people default to competency of skill set. So like whatever the task is, an accountant be a better accountant, but actually it's culturally train them up. So what does that mean? I'm going to make it real simple. If you just did one thing this week, it's how do you engage your workforce? Do something fun. Team bonding, and it's funny as I'm saying this. To some people it comes easily, and to others it does not. So right now I know Kevin Hall on this team is laughing at me because he's so pro culture.
He is. By the way, I was just thinking, it was like the one guy on your team who's definitely not disengaged is Kevin Hall, and he's probably looking at you going, "Zan, we need more fun."
Right. So it's definitely not my default. So I offer that as solace to the business owners out there that perhaps like me a little bit more Scrooge-like or more introverted is probably a nicer way.
Oh no, I kind of like the Scrooge-like.
Okay, I'm Scrooge-like.
Yeah.
You,
like
the
that.
person listening, you might just be introverted, but it's the key is how can you engage in things that are fun for the team, but not begrudgingly,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like do something you actually would enjoy as well.
Right. It's kind of like a work parody based on the relationship. I can't remember the movie now. Jennifer Aniston. I want you to want to do the dishes, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
It's like you've got to want
Yeah.
to bring joy to your employees. Not okay, let's do this token team night out.
Right. Yeah.
Well, burn that money. The
Yeah.
bastards better get some joy out of it.
Throwing out those little comments the whole night. You guys better eat up all this pizza because I paid for it.
Right.
But the funny thing is, it doesn't even have to be something that's big and dramatic. Although certainly once or twice a year, that'd be a nice thing as well. Like I remember in this book, It Pays to Play, she was talking about how she owned a painting company, and on a particularly hot day, she thought, well, God, these kids are probably burning up. So she took time out of her day to drive to the site location, bring popsicles. Right? And then she had a barbecue and she just cooked for them.
I would argue you need to make it small, not from a financial perspective,
good point.
but because from whatever you do, it's probably not going to tick all the boxes of all the team members.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like little and often.
Yeah.
Like what little things? Because some will strike the chord for certain members of the team, not for others. So it's kind of like little and often, just because need to pick me up. It's not like, oh, yep, on the first of every new quarter, we have team pizza night or like that.
Oh, by the way, that's the other thing. Don't do the same damn thing every single week either, because then at that point in time, familiarity breeds contempt, and they're just like, oh, another team building thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, exactly. It's the what was the analogy? It's if somebody brings you a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The first time they go, oh, thank you very much. But if they bring you the same cup of coffee every day, right?
The day you don't, they're like,
the day they don't, it's like, what
where's my coffee?
Right.
Yeah.
So like, it ain't easy, but on the one hand, it ain't easy to have this kind of randomized habit, but at the same time, make it easy. Like just. What's the low-hanging fruit? The little things that you can do that just bring a little bit of happiness.
Let's do a real quick recap, because I think we've covered 3, if not 4, specific strategies people can do. Number 1, always be looking for your bottom 10%. Number 2, hire them, or raise them up, or let them go. That's 2. 3, do something this week, not next week or the week after. Do something this week that would just entertain and delight your staff. Doesn't have to be a big thing, but it has to be a heartfelt thing. Mm-hmm. Another thing that we could do is this would probably I can only imagine how miserable you would be, Dan, if you had to be the one responsible for the playtime for the company every week, right? So what do you do? Like one of the things you've got Anne, who just loves coming up with on our quarterly meetings our quiz show, right? You would never do that, but she loves that, right? So you could easily, especially if you've got a smaller team, you could, like in the book, Pays to Play, she actually had this strategy she got from the company called, I think it's called Mint? I think that's the wrong name, but it's this flavored water in the UK, I think. And they actually have given all of their employees a budget for employee engagement. It's not a lot, right? But they actively tell I think it's not every employee, but their management teams, here's your budget this quarter for doing something fun with your team, right? So you could also delegate this to your team.
Well, I think you should. If it's not your natural strength, like I said, I'm more of an introvert. Like, my days of fun is sitting down and reading a good book.
Yeah, or a balance sheet.
Right. But Anne, like you said, she's my counterbalance.
Yeah.
Right. So she's always fun, great sense of humor. So absolutely, she owns it, and she owns the budget related to it.
Yeah.
All right. Because the thing is, you don't need to do it yourself, Topher, but it needs to be done.
Well, yes, yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about the book of the week, which it makes sense to be it. It pays to play. How Play Improves Business Culture by Christy Harold. Really good book, easy read, fast read too. By the way, I think it's probably less than an hour and a half to read the whole book. So it's real quick, easy read. Fantastic text. It pays to play. How Play Improves Business Culture by Christy Harold. Let's go for a quote of the week and then wrap it up, shall we?
The quote of the week this week is by an American writer, Henry David Thoreau, who said, "The greatest compliment that was ever paid me was when one asked me what I thought and attended to the answer."
I was expecting something poetic from Henry David Thoreau, and that is it. There's a lot of truth to that for sure. All right, my friend, let's wrap this up and let's worry about your flight.
Well, as always, Topher, if you want a better business, you need to be a better business owner.
Well done.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. 3 things you need to do now. Number 1, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you do not miss an episode. Also, get on over to Amazon to get a copy of my latest book, Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity, 9.5 steps to improving your profits and cash flow. Also, join our Facebook group, the Turnover is Vanity, Profit is Sanity community, to connect with other business owners.